Minister, perhaps you deliberately didn't hear what I said. Perhaps you deliberately didn't hear what I said, but I made it very clear that I understand that simply getting the approval is not the end point. And you don't have to lecture me about the brutality of Israel's occupation of Gaza.
I'm not lecturing.
And if you're asking me what my wish list is, my wish list also includes your government not sending weapons parts in to the F-35 so that people in Gaza can be killed. That would include my wish list. But we're not talking about...
That is another one of those incorrect assertions that you make in order to foment dispute. That's another one of your incorrect assertions.
Oh, I know you think they're non-lethal parts.
That you do in order to foment division in our country. And really, in the context of what we have seen in this country, maybe it's time that the Greens actually tried to work, bring people together rather than divide people. You see political benefit in division, and you're happy to use misinformation to enable that division.
Do you know what causes division? You sending weapons parts into a genocide.
No, the division is you continuing to lie or mislead about Australia's engagement in engagement in the Middle East and continuing to foment division in our country. And we have seen the consequences of that, Senator, and I really would invite you to rethink your approach on this. But let's leave that to one side. The reason I had outlined, asked Ms McGregor to outline all the steps that have to be taken is because it is wrong for you to assert and it is unfair for you to use people's grief and people's anger and people's pain by suggesting that all the government has to do is send a fax. That is not true, if anybody sends faxes anymore, but I think that was what was suggested. It's not true, and you shouldn't try and channel people's pain in this way.
I know you want to deliberately misrepresent the proposition I'm putting, and I'm hearing it time and time again. I said very clearly that I know that of itself will not resolve it, given the brutality of the occupation.
But you talk about false hope. You talk about false hope. We put them on, even if we did that and did not act in accordance with what government has decided are the parameters, what then happens to them? They don't get out. They don't get out because all of these steps which are required are not in place. So you are the one peddling false hope.
No, Minister.
And we shouldn't do that.
Minister, without this, they have no hope. Without you just doing the most simple thing in this regard, this first step, this critical first step, without you doing that, they have no hope. Without you doing that, they have no hope. And I cannot understand why you won't
have you got more questions?
Senator Shoebridge, you are trying to... Can you please not mislead and misrepresent in order to make a political point, particularly with people who are grieving and in pain? It is unconscionable. It is unconscionable. It is unconscionable. What your behaviour is unconscionable.
I agree with you. It is unconscionable. What your refusal to issue the list. You should not
mislead in order to make a political point when we are dealing with people who are grieving and in pain.
All right.
It is the wrong thing to do.
I have a... So my request is...
Last question, then I'll rotate the call.
Well, I have some questions about the failure of your government, Minister, to recognise the Palestinian embassy here and to accept the credentials of the Palestinian ambassador. And you talk about false hope. When your government said that you were recognising the state of Palestine, I'm sure many Australians, particularly those in the Palestinian community, would expect that as an automatic response to that, you would acknowledge the ambassador here, you would acknowledge the embassy here, but despite repeated requests for the ambassador, you refuse to do that. Why do you refuse to do that?
Senator, I can answer that question, I think. You're right. Australia set clear expectations of reform of the Palestinian Authority before establishing diplomatic relations. We have required them to... They've committed publicly to recognising Israel's right to exist, calling on Hamas to disarm, committing to hold general elections, which they've done, which should be happening in November. promised also broader reform of governance, financial transparency, and to abolish the system of payments to the families of prisoners and martyrs. Now, some progress on that has been made, but we remain in dialogue with them, and for the time being, we are not satisfied that sufficient has been done on those criteria.
So
So
what do you
can
say?
Can I add to that, please? Thank you. First, we did recognise Palestine alongside UK, Canada, France and other countries. I think more than 150 countries recognised Palestine. I note that that was not something your party tried to dismiss that, but that was a very important shift in Australian foreign policy and one I am steadfast in because we have, we cannot resolve the challenges of the Middle East, but we can do what we can to contribute towards breaking the cycle of violence, and we believe that only happens through a two-state solution. As Dr. King has said, there are commitments that the Palestinian Authority has received, has made. They go to some of the issues that Dr. King has outlined. We are tying progress on practical implementation of recognition to progress against those commitments, including the setting up of diplomatic missions. But we are not simply sitting and waiting. We understand that we need to work with others to build the capacity of the Palestinian Authority for strong and credible governance. That is essential to building peace. We are working with the UK and Canada on this. There have been some progress, I think, in some local elections. There have been some electoral and governance reform, initial steps on prisoner pension payments, I think. But there is more that is required, Senator, and I think even you, notwithstanding your sort of criticism of the government, would surely agree that progress is required. We also have worked with Indonesia to establish so I spoke to Foreign Minister Sugiono about what could we do trilaterally, so us, the Indonesians and the Palestinians, to try and improve, to build that capability which is necessary to enable peace and these steps. We've had the first trilateral education dialogue between Palestinian Authority, Indonesia and Australia, I think in April in Jakarta, because I think having the world's largest majority Muslim country working with us and the PA is an important way to make sure we achieve progress. So that is why we're doing what we're doing. So you're right, we haven't simply gone, we're going to do all of the aspects of practical that flow from recognition. We have tied progress on that, as have other countries, to the progress on some of the commitments that have been outlined, and they are important commitments, Senator. They are commitments that actually go not only to capability, but also to the enabling peace.
Minister, you say that Australia is working with like-minded countries. I've heard you say that repeated times in relation to Palestine. Well, when it comes to like-minded countries, and I was reminded of this by the Palestinian ambassador, who I recognise as an ambassador, I was reminded of this, that the UK, a like-minded country, has accepted the credentials of the Palestinian ambassador and accepted the presence and acknowledged the presence of a Palestinian embassy, and I think that happened in February. That France has accepted the credentials of the Palestinian ambassador and has accepted the official presence of a Palestinian embassy in France. So if we're working with like-minded countries, why are we balking at recognising an ambassador and an embassy when both the UK and France have been able to do both, to not only make the statement about recognising the state of Palestine, but then take some material action.
I've just gone
Why
through with you
can't we
material
do
action.
what
I've
the
just
UK and
Senator
France?
Shoebridge, with you, it's like there's a universe that you just pretend exists, and you stay in that universe, and when facts are demonstrated to you which are inconsistent with that, you still want to get your social media grab up. I just went through with you everything we are doing. I just went. So then you sit there and you try and deliver a grab for social media that is, oh, you're not doing anything. I just went through with you. I did you the courtesy of taking you through what we are seeking to do, that we haven't just recognised, that we are actually in a world, in a challenging environment. Like this is, I don't think anybody believes that building two states is an easy process. And there are the broader security, strategic issues. There's the ceasefire issue, all of those obvious issues, but central to it is also the capacity of the Palestinian Authority. Now, we are not the major player in this, and I've taken you through some of what we are doing to try and contribute to that. So for you to sit there and just airily say you're not doing anything, I find really disingenuous. And it just comes again to your political motive, which is you try to mislead people in order to make them angry because you think there's political benefit, just as you were prepared to fundraise off this tragedy. Like this is not an ethical approach to how we deal with it in this country.
Minister, I'm happy to hear you misrepresent the questions that I put. That's your prerogative if you want to do this. I don't think it generates trust with the government when you do that, but that's your prerogative.
No, Senator, I'm not misrepresenting your questions. I'm misrepresenting.
I let you finish, but you want to talk over me.
You are misrepresenting what the answers are.
You want to talk
and
over
I'm
me.
entitled. Well, I'm entitled to just put to you that you are misrepresenting them,
you
and you should not misrepresent them.
Will you let me finish this time, Minister?
Sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. You said in your answer that you are working with like-minded countries. And not only did you say it in the answer, you have said it repeatedly. I point out to you that two like-minded countries, France and the United Kingdom, have accepted the credentials of the Palestinian ambassador and have accepted the presence of an embassy in both France and the UK. And I ask you why. Let me finish for once.
Well, no, I'm happy to answer it.
Let me finish my question
I'm sorry I keep messing up your declaratory thing for the video.
You don't let me finish, but that's okay. Again, when you finish, I'll resume.
Let's just let Senator Shoebridge finish his question,
you don't like your performance
and we'll let the
being
Minister
interrupted,
finish her answer.
Senator Shoebridge.
All right.
You see, I actually think Senate estimates should be more than just a performance of inaccurate material for social media. I don't think that's good for social cohesion. I actually don't. And so forgive me if I find it difficult to sit there while you perform for social media saying things which are not true, because I don't think it's good for this parliament and I don't think it's good for our country.
Now, I will attempt again to ask the question. If you wish to intervene, I'll let you do it again, and then I'll try again to ask the question. Minister, I listened carefully to your answer. You referenced working with like-minded countries. You repeatedly say that when it comes to Palestine, you'll be working in tandem with like-minded countries.
And we are.
Okay, on that note...
And we are.
Well, no, and on that note, we're now breaking for morning tea.
My question.
We're now breaking for morning tea.
Again, you cannot help yourself.
All right, Senators, hello.
You cannot help yourself.
We're breaking for morning tea. It is 11 o'clock. We are breaking for morning tea. Thank you.